Assalamu alaikum, dear participants and all kinds of students, especially honors third year students. I would like to warmly welcome you to this online and virtual presentation. And this lecture has exclusively made for honors third year students. This has been a very important, chapter of your honors third year introduction to linguistics paper. So I hope you will be with me and enjoying the whole session with me and get a lot of valuable ideas. So let's get started. Okay, as you can see from here, dear students, that this has been made for honors third year, syntax and syntactic theory. I will be talking about some important aspects of this chapter, and I will try to show you some tree diagrams and all the important features relating to this chapter. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, syntactic theory. Before I would like to give you the full details of that syntax, I want you to know what is syntactic theory. Syntactic theory is about the rules and principles that determine how people combine words to make meaningful sentences. Sentences are not just string of words. In the same way, the words are not just string of morphemes. There are strict syntactic rules about the structure of sentences, how to combine words in a specific way to reach a certain meaning, structure at a phrasal and sentence level. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, you have to know certain things before you actually start. Look at this. These are some sentences. It's called actually bag of words. And if you consider this sentence, beat the dog at, all the morphemes and words in this sentence are not organized. So if you organize them, it can become a lot of sentences like a cat beat the dog, the cat beat a dog beat the dog beat a cat. So all of these have specific and different meanings. These specific different meanings come about solely from our combination of words. Okay, so there are two categories for this. First category is syntactic categories. So in syntactic categories, the types are of two types. There are two types. First one is lexical categories, and then the next one would be non-lexical categories. So in the lexical categories, we'll find noun, which is symbolized with N, capital N, verb, adjective, preposition, and adverb. All of them are actually symbolized with capital letters. And the examples are also provided, like moisture, policy, melt, remain, good, intelligent, to, near, story, and now. So these are all syntactic categories. Now let us take a look at the non-lexical categories. Well, the non-lexical categories are something different. They are not pure words or pure morphemes. They are determiners, degree words, qualifier, auxiliaries, and conjunctions. And the examples are also given. So you can check and have a look at these to get your better understanding. So these are all non-lexical categories. And let us go to the next slide. Phrase structure. We have rules in syntax about what word classes can be turned together in phrases. For example, noun phrase indicated with NP is directed to determiner and noun or only noun. This means that noun phrases can be made up of determiners and nouns. Determiners are optional, that is, either you can use it or you cannot use it, like the girl or any name, Aisha. Both of these are noun phrases because they contain a noun, and the first also has a determiner. So both of them can be grouped or can be called as noun phrase. Now there are some NP rules, that is noun phrase rules. First, determiner means determiner, DET means determiner, and there are also function words like D, these, several, and all the articles. NP is, as I have already mentioned, determiner and noun. That means a noun phrase can have a determiner and it must have a noun. You can have a look at the structure. The S indicates sentence is directed to NP and VP, that is noun phrase and verb phrase combined with sentence. Again, verb phrase is made up of verb and noun phrase. NP is made up of determiner and noun, or also determiner plus adjective plus noun. So all of them are acceptable. Well, let us go to the next slide. Phrases. When you talk about noun phrase, you can check the car a clever student. Verb phrase means at least you will have to have a verb like study hard, play the guitar. Prepositional phrase, of course, there will have to have a preposition like in the class, above the earth. An adjective phrase, at least you will have to have an adjective like very tall, quite certain. An adverbial phrase, quite happily, at least you will have to have an adverb. So these are the ways you can make phrases. So off we go to the next slide. Okay, so noun phrase structure rules. Noun is indicated, as has been mentioned, with determiner and noun. Also with prepositional phrase. And prepositional phrase is preposition plus noun phrase. So the first example at the left side, as a T diagram, the bus, simple. So the is determiner and bus is noun, so it's noun phrase. At the right side, the bus in the yard, you can see noun phrase has been divided into three different segments: determiner, noun, and prepositional phrase. So you can see D has been used as determiner, noun is bus, and in the yard is actually a prepositional phrase. Again, the yard has been divided into determiner and noun, so it's a noun phrase. So in the long run, what happens? Preposition plus noun phrase has becomes prepositional phrase, and in the end, determiner, noun, and prepositional phrase makes noun phrase. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Verb phrase structure rules. Well, verb phrase, you can see verb, at least you will have to have a verb, NP and PP. And sentence is directed to noun phrase and VP. So look at the first example, took the money. It's a verb phrase because there is no subject here. And there is a verb took. So took plus the money, noun phrase plus verb phrase, and verb phrase plus noun phrase makes a verb phrase. In the right side, took the money from the bank. There are two main parts, took the money and from the bank. From the bank is actually prepositional phrase, but took the money is verb phrase. But in the end, verb phrase and prepositional phrase means BP or verb phrase. Okay, now go to the next slide. Prepositional phrase structure rules. You can see prepositions can be formed in this way, which I have already shown in this tree diagram. Look at that example. From a boy in a bubble. You can see in all the chunk of this sentence, there is a preposition that is from, then a boy is a noun phrase, then in a bubble is a noun phrase. So noun phrase plus prepositional phrase means prepositional phrase. So from a boy in a bubble is basically a prepositional phrase. Okay, this is a sentence now. You can check and take a look at this. The small boy saw George with a crazy dog recently. You can see mainly this sentence has been divided into two main sections. First at the left side NP and the right side VP. And this has always been so. You have to remember that noun phrase will always come left and verb phrase will always come right side of the sentence. So you can see the small boy is a noun phrase. Saw George with a crazy dog recently is total sentence. There are a lot of nodes and a lot of phrases, but in the end, it makes a VP. If you categorize them, saw is the verb, George noun phrase, PN means phrase noun, with a crazy dog means prepositional phrase. Though there is an adverb at the end recently, it makes recent. Recently is an adverb, but in the end, NP, BP, B and P, an adverbial phrase makes a VP, because as I have already told you that sentence is directed to NP, VP. That is the main division of the tree diagram. Then the other branches would emerge, but the main division is sentence is directed to NP and VP. Let us go to the next slide. So sentence structure. Uh, this allows us to build up a sentences from phrases. If we want to analyze the sentence, the cat sat on the mat, we look at the internal phrases. The cat sat on the mat. You can see determiner, noun, verb, preposition, determiner, and nouns are already placed here. So the tree diagrams, after recognizing the tree diagrams, these are the symbolic PS format. You can write it like NP, PP, PP, and NP. However, there are rules in syntax, as in morphology, about what order these interact in. It's not just a bag of words. You have to organize the words in accordance with the meaning and syntactic structure. Otherwise, these morphemes or words can never become sentences. Okay, dear students, let us go to the next slide. Constituency. Actually, a sentence is divided into groups of words. The connections between words in one group is closer than between words belonging to different groups. A group of words that cling together is called a constituent. To test whether a group of words is constituent, we have three tests. First one, replacement or substitution. That is, a constituent can be replaced by a single word. The number two feature is that movement. A constituent as a whole can be replaced in different way. And number three, position in the sentence. Like clapping, change sentence, or it was. That is, the chunk of a sentence can be changed in accordance with the position of the meaning. That is called actually clapping. That is, change sentences to it was, or you can start it with any other phrases to make it a complete, structural, and logically understandable sentence. Okay. All languages have constituents. Sentences are not just string of words, have a more complex structure, which linguists call the constituent structure. We can call the sentence S and label the syntactic categories as N and V. So this is the big division, right? S is indicating to a sentence, noun is Johnny, and verb is danced. Okay, so the main structure rules after discussing the tree diagram. Subject is directed to NP, BP. NP is determiner, AP, that is adjective phrase or noun, and PP. VP is directed to verb, noun phrase, PP, and adverbial phrase or adverb. PP is directed to preposition and noun phrase. AP, adjective phrase, is directed to adjective and prepositional phrase. So these are the structured patterns of PS rules. You will have to check it clearly. Okay, now let us have a look at the analysis of some sentences. Okay, this is the example of a sentence. The old tree swayed in the wind. You can see the old tree is noun phrase, swayed in the wind is the verb phrase, main division. So again, the noun phrase has been divided into determiner, adjective, and noun, and verb phrase has been divided into first verb into prepositional phrase. Again, prepositional phrase has been divided into in the wind. So it's very easy for you to understand. Remember, dear students, when you want to make or solve or organize the tree diagrams, you have to start from the right. From the right side of the tree diagram, and then you gradually come to the left side of this tree diagram. So these are the ways you can see. So you can see again, the old tree is subject, swayed in the wind is predicate. So basically, in a tree diagram or in PS rule, there is phrase structure rules. Normally, a sentence is divided into subject and predicate, and then it is divided or made it into small details by giving the tree diagram rules or PS rules. Okay, let us go to the next slide. The children put the toy in the box. Same. Subject has been divided again into NP and VP. Remember, NP is always at the left side, VP is always at the right side. So the children is NP, there is noun phrase. VP is put the toy in the box. Then there is another division in the box, which is a prepositional phrase. The toy is the noun phrase, and verb is only put. Put is verb, and again, all these things makes the verb phrase. Well, let us go to the next slide. So reasons for studying syntax. Why should we study syntax? Our knowledge of a language consists of a finite number of words, rules. That is why we need to study syntax, and also infinity of expressions, an infinite number of possible utterances in every language. All these utterances cannot be stored in our brains. It is the job of the syntactician to find out what these rules are. And that is why you need to know the syntactic rules and the sentence patterns so that you can make a lot of new sentences with the same pattern and the same guideline. Okay, let us go to the next slide. So you can see now this chart or this table, basic word order. That is normally when we make a sentence, we give this symbol subject, verb, and object. First one is SOV, means subject, object, and verb. The example is I, you, love, which is a bit unusual for the English people. And the proportion of languages, that is the number of uses, the number of collective uses in the whole world is 45. SVO, that is subject, verb, object, which is very usual for us. I love you, 42%. Then VSO, verb, subject, object, little bit unusual. Love IU, 9% only. VOS, verb, object, and subject, love UI. OVS, object, verb, subject, you love I. And OSV, you I love. That is from this table. I think you have got an idea that normally sentences are constructed with the main three, chunk, like subject, verb, and objects. And in accordance with that, word order, this percentage has been made. Okay, let us go to the next slide. This is the penultimate slide. Look at that. This is also very important because you can see how many people do use that type of sentence structure, word structure. Also, if you talk about SOV, there is subject, object, and verb, which is a bit unusual for the English people. And the number of languages, but the number of languages is much higher than the second one. There's 497 types of languages use it, especially used by the Japanese, this structure. Then subject, verb, and objects, which is very usual for us, is used by 436 number of languages. It is used in English. VSO, there is verb, subject, object, is used by 85 number of languages, and Standard Arabic. And for NIAS, NIAS is not a very common language. I have given the footnote, you can check it there. The NIAS language is is of course not a very common language for the people. That is why it's an Austronesian language spoken in Nias Island and the Batu Islands on the west coast of Sumatra in Indonesia. So they do use, verb, object, subject. Next one is OVS. This structure is used by only 9 number of languages, and they are mostly used by Ixcariana. Ixcariana is one of the Caribbean languages spoken by just over 500 people on the Nahambura River, a tributary of the Amazon River in Brazil. It's one of the Brazilian, type of language. Next one is OSV, that is object, subject, and verb, only used by the 4 number of languages. And there is this example is Nadev. This is also very uncommon language. And Nadev is the language of Brazil in Amazonian region. And the last one, Cherokee, is a very uncommon language, but even used by number of languages. If you talk about number 171 number of languages, it has no basic order. It means that it doesn't follow subject, verb, or subject, object, and verb in any logical order pattern. So Cherokee is even used by 171 types of languages, and Cherokee is 16 North American Indian language. in North American Indian languages have 16 varieties. A member of the Iroquoian family spoken by the Cherokee people. That is that tribe, special tribe or tribal class of people use this type of language. Maybe they don't use it now as a countryside or remotest part of the North American side use this language still now maybe. So with this table, the second one, you can check how many people use that type of different word orders. Well, I think I have given you a little bit of idea about syntax and syntactic orders, syntactic patterns, and the tree diagrams. Hope you have enjoyed and got valuable information. And with this, I'm going to thank you very much. I hope you will get it with your own way and enjoy the lecture and get valuable information from it. So thank you very much. And with this, I'm going to conclude my lecture. Assalamu alaikum.